Hey, 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 this is Patrick Sesko, and welcome to the very first episode of Brand Marks the Spot. And here we are. Welcome. Happy Friday. Just want to make sure everything is working and we are live. It appears that we are live, and hopefully, yes, it looks like my sound is coming through. So, welcome, welcome. Welcome to the very first episode of Brand Marks the Spot. This is something I've been wanting to do for a while. The idea here is to have a show to talk about branding and design, uh, running a business as a solo online entrepreneur, and just sort of the day to day life of running a business solo, which I've been doing for 15 years. So I wanted to share that with you, and hopefully in the near future, we'll have some awesome guests on talking about relevant information, whether it's about different aspects of running your business, and things like that. So I got a couple of people lined up that I'm going to be interviewing, hopefully live for the show here, and maybe play some games and do some fun stuff and just kind of have a good time with it. There's no like super set format. I'm probably going to talk about stuff and maybe have some people on and play some stupid, 5-question games or something like that. So anyway, so in today's episode, I just wanted to talk about the essential brand ingredients for your business. And especially when you're first starting out, because when you're first starting out, you're just super overwhelmed and you have all the things that you got to do. You got to do the work that you're going to be doing, whether you're working with one-on-one clients or you are, selling courses or workshops. So you got to create the content and you got to do the work. And then there's all the back end stuff that you got to do in your business. You got to do your email marketing. You got to do your website. You got to do your legal stuff. You've got accountants and bookkeeping. You've got to create the content. You've got to create all your graphics for all your content. You got to create your website. You got to write your blog posts. You got to do your podcast. You got to do your video show, just like this. So all of those things, they add up real quick, especially when you're working solo. So for those of you who have a VA or a team in place, kudos to you, because that's awesome. So anyways, again, the six essential brand ingredients for new online entrepreneurs who are either just starting out or are trying to grow their businesses. So let's start with I'll give you the top list here. Number one is going to be your why, which is like your mission, your values, all of those things. The second is going to be your ideal customer avatar or your ideal customer profile. The third one is going to be nailing your niche. You got to know who you are, who the people are that you are going to be serving, what industry, what category. And then you have your positioning and messaging, which is, where you are in the market and what you say to your audience. And then you have your visual brand, which is your brand identity, your logo, the way things look. And then you have your website. Those are like the six primary things. I said six, that's four. 6 primary things that you really need to have in place when you're starting your business. So let's dive into each one of these. So the first one, your mission, your values, and your why. So sorry, I'm having a little technical difficulty there. So your mission, your values, and your why, like this is your North Star. So you really why are you in business? What is the reason you're in business? Like what made you start the business? Is it so you can have more freedom? Is it so you could provide for your family? Is it so you could leave your day job? Is it, what's the reason? Like deep down inside, what is the reason? And you kind of need this as a North Star, as James Wedmore says, in your business to sort of kind of keep you grounded. It gives you a vision of where you're trying to take your business, because if you don't know where you're going, how do you know you're going to get there? So you really got to know where you're going. So your why, if you haven't already, there's a wildly popular TED Talk by Simon Sinek, which is called Start With Why. It's like a 17-minute video. I highly suggest you watch it if you haven't. I mean, that's sort of like That's like one of the prerequisites of anybody going into business for themselves that need to watch that. So if you're in business, you've probably heard of it, but if you haven't, Simon Sinek, Start With Why, check that out. And he also has a great book on that. And he basically kind of says that people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. So if you have that sort of conviction and vision in your business, your audience will see that and it'll shine through. So let's see, next up in the list. Number 2, ideal customer profile. Now, your ideal customer profile is something that you really need to get sort of dialed in, because it's really important to know who it is that you are going to be trying to serve. So, excuse me. So your ideal, if you create an ideal customer profile, this essentially gives you a snapshot of the person. And when I say person, I mean one person that you're trying to serve. So when you want to know like who it is that you are trying to help. So you're going to have your demographics, which are, it could be an age group, it could be the gender, it could be their profession, depending on what it is that you do. So if you're a photographer, a wedding photographer, you're probably going to be, your ideal customer avatar is going to be somebody who is going to be getting married. And typically it's the woman who is the planning person in a wedding. Not to say that us guys don't get involved in it, but it's usually the dream of the woman in the wedding that wants to, do that. So your ideal customer profile is probably going to be a female engaged person who has X amount of money for a wedding. So you have to dial in on all of these specific things that are going to attract them to you, and then you could provide those services to them. In order to understand who you're talking to, you want to get into their pain points. What are they struggling with? Are they like, they can't find a good wedding photographer, or maybe a friend of theirs had a wedding where the photographer came in and it was a complete disaster and now they don't have photos. Is it just a cost issue? So all of those things you need to take into account when you're trying to figure out who your ideal customer is. And when I say who your ideal customer is, I mean, I'm talking diving in and getting sort of deep into understanding what their pain points are. So one way of doing that is interview people. If you have existing customers, ask them questions about why they ended up working with you. What were their problems what were their problems they were having when they started to seek out your service? So you want to get into the mind of your ideal customer. All righty. Next up on the list is your niche. So your niche is basically narrowing the focus of your offering. So if you try to be all things to everybody, you'll be nothing to nobody. So what's the quote? I'll think of that quote in a second. But when you're niching down, you want to really find a specific sort of cross section of people that are going to be the ones that you're going to want to be doing the work for. So you can narrow down by industry, you can narrow down by demographic, you can narrow down by the specific problem or where your audience is in a particular journey. So for the example, we'll stick with the wedding photographer example. So if you are a wedding photographer, that would be a niche, right? Your niche is like shooting weddings. Then, but that's a pretty broad niche, right? Because there's all kinds of weddings. There's high-end weddings, there's outdoor weddings, there's destination weddings, there's, I don't know, whatever the kind of weddings there are. So that's a pretty broad niche. So in order to narrow down the niche, you can say wedding photographer, and then you can even narrow down even further and say destination wedding photographer. So now you're really starting to get niche down, because people who want a destination wedding are going to be specifically looking for destination wedding photographers. So you could even narrow down even further and say, wedding photographer specializing in Caribbean destination weddings. So now you're niching down to a specific region. Maybe you have a network of people in the Caribbean that no one else has, or maybe you just intimately know the area. Maybe you live in that area and you can travel in that broad range a lot easier than somebody from, say, the mainland. So those are sort of the things you want to take into consideration when you're niching down. You want to get pretty specific. So you can do that, or you can also niche down to a demographic. So maybe you are a life coach and maybe you only help young women just starting their careers. So that's going to be a specific age group and a gender, right? So you won't just say, I just help women in their careers. You would say, I help women who are newly graduated, starting their careers. And that could be your niche, right? You niche down so that way you focus. And two things happen. Obviously, you are attracting more of a specific person, but then you are able to actually charge higher rates because it's a higher perceived value because it is a specialization. So think about that. Another, could be maybe you're a personal coach and you can say, I help athletes. This is another example. Well, then you can narrow it down, say, I help professional athletes. Maybe it could be a mindset thing, whatever it is that you do as you're coaching. And then you could say, I help professional hockey players. So that way you're really narrowing down. So that's just an example. It may not resonate with you, but you get the idea about niching down. I think that's important to do. And that's niching. So let's go on to the next one. And the next one is your positioning and messaging. Again, these are all items that are sort of essential to have in your brand, whether you're just starting out or you're trying to grow your business. And you'll notice none of this stuff has to do with the visuals yet. We'll get there, but this is all of the strategy work that lays the foundation for your business. Because if you don't have that foundation and you start to do the other things without that foundation, it'll topple down, it'll crumble, just like pulling out a bottom block of a Jenga, right? So positioning and messaging. So positioning, these are two things, but they are intimately related. So, and I'll just talk briefly about them because I could do a 2-day seminar in positioning and messaging. So I'll just give you the overview here, but it's important to think about when you're starting your business and your brand. So positioning refers to the place that your brand occupies in the mind of your audience, right? And it also will allow you to differentiate yourself from your competition. So there's going to be different dimensions or different ways that you can position yourself in the minds of your audience, but also in relation to your competition. And so those things can be like value or pricing. The other one is quality. The next are your attributes and benefits. And after that is just your personality. So if you are going to be, you look at your dollar stores, right? So their positioning is price, 100%, right? So they're not going to be competing with the Targets and the Walmarts. They're just the dollar store, right? You want something, you need it, you go get it for $1. So that's positioning on price. As an online entrepreneur, you got to be careful if you do position yourself as the lowest price, because then you're just going to be viewed as a commodity and you won't really make any money. Excuse me. Next is going to be quality. Maybe you are an upper echelon brand where the quality of the products and services you provide are second to none, right? So you look at your Rolexes compared to, say, a Timex, right? They're both watches, so they're in the same space. Rolex doesn't compare to a Timex. Timex is great because it's affordable and they keep on ticking. They take a licking, but keep on ticking, right? That's your brand messaging there. But the Rolex is a status symbol. That's a luxury symbol. So that is your sort of positioning, right? So they are able to charge higher prices for a Rolex watch. There's a status that goes along with it. And that's just through years of branding. So now going on to messaging. Messaging is basically what you say and how you say it to your audience as it relates to the products and services that you offer. So brand messaging, it refers to the underlying value that you bring to your audience. So your messaging is all the copy on your website. It's what you say in a video like this. It's what you say in your social media. It's how you talk to your audience. It's the things that you understand their pain points and that you know where they're coming from and how your solution will help solve their problems. So that is messaging in a nutshell. It basically, it makes your audience relate to your brand and inspires them. Oops. It inspires them, motivates them, and ultimately making them want to buy from you as long as they resonate. So that is messaging in a nutshell. And let me just, I don't want to oversimplify it. That's a super major important part of your brand. Messaging is so important that you really, like, if you don't have the visual brand that people will get past to read your messaging, that's a problem. But if you have a beautiful visual brand and your messaging is terrible, that's also a problem. So they really work together, and that's and that'll actually that'll perfectly segue into the next essential element in your brand. Let me pop this in here, and that is your visual brand. Now, keep in mind, all of these things are working together. So yes, you need to spend the time to work on them individually, but if you don't have them all in place as sort of a base foundation for your brand, it's really difficult to get traction. But your visual brand or your brand identity, that's your logo, your colors and your fonts and all those things. When you're first starting out, I say to keep this very, very simple because it can be overwhelming. And you want to start with the foundation and you want to start building it in sort of layers. So you start with that foundation and then you, over time, build upon it, make it a little bit fancier. And as you gain more traction in your business and get a bigger audience and making more sales, you can increase that perceived value. So your visual brand from a bare bones perspective is I want to nail down your colors and fonts. And I just did a workshop on that a couple weeks ago. I'll be offering that again in the near future if you're interested. So keep an eye out for that. And then just a simple text-based logo. Those are the bare bones minimums that you should have in your visual brand. And they should all be based on strategic thinking. So you base it on your brand personality. You base it on the personality of your audience. And those are the things you need to think about. And then you can build upon it. All right, next up, and the final essential item is your website. Now, this one is kind of a no-brainer, but a lot of people, believe it or not, you'll go to their website and you'll get let's say you find a coach or a consultant that you want to work with. You go to their Facebook page and they have a website. You click on the website because you're going to do due diligence to research who it is that you might be working with. So you go to the website and it says, oh, we're so busy helping our clients that we can't make our own website, blah, blah, blah. And you know what? That's BS, because here's the deal. You're in business. If you don't have a website yet, then just put up a one-pager that says, hey, this is who I am. This is what we do. Contact us for more information, right? If you're going to do that, don't say that we don't have time to make our own website because we're helping our clients, right? And there's a whole cobbler's children that don't have shoes kind of saying that goes with that. But you get the idea. So you can have a business without a website. I've seen people do it. I've seen people hustle, or they have a decent social media presence, so they get business that way. So I'm not saying it's not possible, but anybody who's going to work with you and invest money in a solution, whatever that solution is that you offer, they're going to research you. They're going to they're going to expect you to have a website and see sort of maybe some social proof, some testimonials. They're going to see if you have any offers. They're going to see what your social media presence is, how big your audience is, and all those things. They're going to look at that. So yes, you can have a business without having that website, and that usually involves a lot of hustling and getting scrappy and contacting people one-on-one and doing a lot of that, which is great. But then anybody who says, "Hey, man, check out this guy. He's working with me," and then you go, "Oh yeah, give me his website." He doesn't have anything, so it's kind of like. So the website is important, or a strong social media presence at least. So um, you want people to know easily how they can work with you, and how you can help them solve their problems. So as Jeff Bezos says, your brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room. Well, this is your website being there for you when you're not in a room, or your social present, or all the content that you put out there, all that stuff. Anything you put out there in your brand, that's working for you when you are not there. So it's very important to have that consistently spread out through the internet. I'm so sorry. Excuse me. And that is, so those are the sort of the 6 essential brand elements that you need in your business when you're either first starting out or you're just sort of trying to take it to the next level. Now, keep in mind, when you're doing these things, there are always different levels. A brand identity, you're going to have a basic brand identity. And then over time, you can invest more and have a more cohesive and strategic brand identity, right? So these are never just one and done. Sometimes they're one and done for a period of time, but they will not serve you. Your brand identity will not serve you until the end of time. You may have to evolve that. Your messaging may change depending on the audience. Your positioning may change based on, say, economic developments like what we're going through right now. So, people don't have as much expendable income as they used to. So maybe if you were positioned as a luxury thing, maybe that positioning is not working for you right now because that market has changed. So these are things that are always ongoing, but it's important to understand them even on a basic level, the 101 level, and get those in place, and then your business will at least have a solid footing to get started on. So that's what I got for you today. This is the Brand Marks the Spot show. I'm hoping to come in here every week and do something live. I will hopefully have some guests on here. I haven't planned too far in advance, so I'm just testing this out and see what people think, and it's something I've been wanting to do for a while. So I hope you enjoy it. We'll see you next week. If you have any questions, definitely like my page here, and I have a private Facebook group that you can join. And if you want to hit that up, and if you need any questions answered, you can tag me in there directly. It's a smaller private group, so you have direct access to me. Pop in there. Otherwise, I will see you on the next video. You guys have a great day. Later.